Nobody's going to say hi. All right. Well, hello, and welcome everyone to our BG5 Live. This is Moxie. Moxie's decided to join us today. So welcome. Great to have you all here. So welcome to everybody in the Zoom room, and welcome to our panel. Welcome to everyone on Facebook Live, and welcome to everyone who's listening to the recording as well on Vimeo or YouTube or wherever you may happen to find it. So again, once again, welcome. What we are going to be taking a look at today. Today is August 20th, 2019. This is episode number 20. And today, what we're going to take a look at is perseverance, the process of discovery. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. So before we jump in, let's hear from our panel. So Lavina, welcome.
Hello, everyone. So glad that you're here, and thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Lavina. Welcome. And Chris.
Hey, everyone. So glad you're here. Welcome. Can't wait to talk about this. This is a good topic.
Yes, definitely. And Natalie, welcome.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. And I just reminded myself, Chris, you have the format in this one. So going to be a good one.
Ah, yeah.
Do you have this as well, Chris? The 29?
No, actually, I don't know the 29. No, that's right. I don't. Okay. Lavina does.
Yes. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump in. So again, we are taking a look at perseverance, the process of discovery. So what is discovery all about? It starts with perseverance. It starts with saying yes. And so this is the energy to persevere, the energy to persevere despite circumstances. This is the persistence despite difficulties that has its inevitable rewards, just like you can see in this picture. You know, it's once you say yes to the process, it's persevering no matter what to get to the goal, to get to those inevitable rewards. And once you say yes, it's important that you let go of any expectations, because you cannot know where that commitment is going to take you and, you know, what cycle needs to be completed. And you have to stick with it until the cycle is completed in order to learn the lessons that are there. So this is our topic for today, talking about this perseverance, saying yes. And as we can see, this is one of the traits that's part of the energy resource, you know, and, you know, this is really, in essence, saying yes to life. We have an opportunity, you know, every month to really say yes to life. And so that's what we're going to be talking about here today. So to kick things off, Chris, is there anything that you would like to add, say, share? What do you observe about perseverance?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I often am talking about with my clients is really saying yes to the correct things, because once you are engaged and you're engaging this incredible amount of energy from the energy resource function behind whatever it is that you're saying yes to, it's really hard to stop. And you want to make sure that if you're going to say yes to something, that you're saying yes to the correct thing. So it's always going back to your decision-making strategy, whether you have energy resource defined or whether you're like Lavina, who is an advisor or an innovator or an evaluator who does not have that defined. So yeah, it's a big one. This is a powerful, powerful trait.
Yes, very powerful. And Lavina, I know you have it in your design, and I have your design that we'll take a look at here in a little bit. But any, you know, opening thoughts or anything that you would like to share specifically about what perseverance is all about for you?
Yeah, well, for me, I'll wait on that a little bit. But one of the things to remember with all of these traits is that it's a this and a that, and it is the trait of saying yes, but it's also about saying no. So that's one of the things to recognize. I love how Chris guided us into what this is about, how important the commitment is. She has the format leading into this, just like Natalie was saying. And when you enter into something, if you don't say no into the things that are not right for you, then you're saying yes to too many things. And now that's one of the leading things that go into not being able to complete all of the commitments. I have a lot of experience with that. I'll talk about in a little bit, but it's about making sure that you're saying no first for me and for a lot of people who have this undefined.
Yeah, really, really good point. Anything, Natalie, that you would like to add?
Well, I know from my students in class that and Chris can talk more about this. When you do enter into cycles that you do not enter into correctly, you may not be able to finish them, and you will find these cycles over and over again. And so it's something that you'll find in your life, like, oh, why do I always get into blah, 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 blah. And so that's one of the things you want to be in line with what Chris and Lavina just said. Being able to say no if it's not correct for you in that time, to prevent you from getting into a cycle that you cannot get out of, and cannot learn the lesson, or cannot go through with it, or yeah. So I'd love for Chris to talk more about it, because I know when we were in the foundation course, you had beautiful examples of that. and probably Lavina does as well. So
Yeah. Anything that you wanted to add there, Chris?
Well, I think it's interesting when you were saying that I had the format channel, I forgot. Yeah, I was like, oh, I don't have traits 29, but I do have the format channel, the 5342, which leads up into the 9 or 29. And yeah, being cyclical, am I entering into a correct cycle? Can I finish what I started? And the 29 is really like taking that to the next level, if you will. And I think Lavina can really speak to what that looks like. But it really does come down to, and I do seem to be working with my clients a lot around that, even if they don't have that format channel, helping them to understand how to enter into and how to say yes, and more importantly, say no. Because most people default, and I would say this is very true of women, we tend to say yes more often than we say no. And so if you have trait 29, or you're under some pressure with trait 29, I do have the 46. So yeah, the 29 is a little bit under pressure there for me. The tendency is to say yes when perhaps it may not be the wisest thing to say.
Yeah, exactly. And here's where, again, it really comes down to your decision-making strategy. And if you have this particular trait in a defined energy resource, you are a builder. So this is a builder. This is a generative trait. And so this is, especially if you have this particular trait activated in your design, and you are a builder, it is part of your decision-making strategy. So it's really important. And remember, what we're taking a look at in the energy resource, and what we're taking a look at when you are a builder, is using your energy properly. Using your energy properly. And so if we take a look at trait 29, this is taking a look at, again, what do you say yes to? Because once you say yes to it, you're on this journey, right? And you want to say yes to those things that you have the energy for, that you have the perseverance to follow through. just as, as Chris and Lavina and Natalie were talking about, this ability to complete the cycle, because if you don't complete the cycle, then you get stuck in these sort of endless cycles that never seem to get completed. And so again, just as Lavina said at the very beginning, not only is it about saying yes, but again, even more importantly, say no. So this is about following, especially if this is part of your decision-making strategy as a builder, it is knowing what to say yes to by following your gut response. Right. And, with builders, there's only two types of decision-making strategies. It's either the pure follow your gut, or it's waiting to respond and then waiting for clarity. But this gut also still has this, you have to wait to respond, and the response comes from the gut. And so do you say yes to it? Is it something that lights you up? Is it something that pulls you forward? Is it something that you are willing to persevere and put your energy towards until it gets complete? And I've told this story in some of my classes. I don't have the 29, but it's very interesting being a builder and really following that gut response. And there was a client of mine. I was actually back in what I used to do and build websites, and I was building her website, and she had all of these things that she wanted me to do. And she had a deadline. I had to get it done by Thursday. And every time I sat down to do it, it was like I had no energy for it. It kept being a no. My gut response was a no. And she called me on the Wednesday, the night before, and she literally changed everything that I was going to do. And as soon as she changed everything, then there was a yes. Then I had the energy to persevere to get the website done. And it was like boom, 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 boom. It happened like that. Whereas if I had struggled through it, if I pushed through it, if I tried to make it happen, I would have done all of this work, and then I would have had to redo everything. And so just, this is really saying, do you have the energy to persevere? Do you have the energy to bring this to completion or not? Yes, Natalie.
Yeah. And once you do, then we come to the third bullet. It is important to let go of any expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is interesting, because we always think we have a goal with it, or we do it for some reason, or whatever you have in mind, why you say yes or where you go. Just let go of everything and just go with the flow and process and whatever, because a lot of times, whatever you expect, you never know where it will take you, and it most likely will take you somewhere where you didn't expect it to go. Yeah, so let go of expectation, because otherwise it's still a very hard struggle to get through.
Yeah.
And then I'd love to hear from Lavina and Chris, who are actually in this energy.
Yeah, Lavina, how do you manage those expectations?
Oh, it's an ongoing process. Expectations of the mind. Oh, if I do this, I think I'm going to get that. Yeah, we have to pull out of that. But one of the things I was contemplating here is kind of how it shows up in groups of people, how when one person is really behind whatever it is that's going on, the commitment is there to be able to complete, to persevere. It's like it contagiates everybody else so that we can all get on board and get behind each other and like, go team, that's part of what this energy that carries us forward. And this is about discovering through being completely embedded in the experience. And that's one of the ways I think I can get rid of expectations. Because if you're expecting something, it's about, well, this, I want that. But if you're letting go and you're just being fully present in the moment, because this is a response in the now, if you're being present and you're in the experience just for the experience, that can help take you to where you discover something new, be able to succeed where others fail. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I love that. That's so true. And it's funny, as you were saying that, I was thinking about Again, it's that, do I have the energy for this, and can I let the energy pull me forward? It's funny. I often, because I am a sacral response, it's like, yes, oftentimes I'm saying yes to things, and my husband will say later, well, was it worth it? And I'm like, that's a silly question. Of course it was worth it. It's all worth it, right? Like for me, it really is about the experience. And it is so much about that. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea why I'm doing what it is that I'm doing. I don't have an expectation though. And another piece that has been coming up for me more recently though, is this so that, or in order to, and that's really speaking to this third bullet is, are you doing things so that? Are you doing things in order to? Are you saying yes to things? And that's that mental part that Natalie was talking about, the mental, expectations and the mental gyrations. Instead of being in the energy, instead of being present to it and moving forward without the expectation and without the in order tos or so that's.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes.
Exactly. And think of what perseverance is. Again, one of the reasons why I use this particular picture is because sometimes, you commit to something, right? You start moving towards it and it gets hard. It gets difficult. It's a struggle. And are you willing to stick through it? Are you willing to surrender to that experience to get to whatever the possibility is on the other side? Just like, climbing a mountain, sometimes it's not easy. And sometimes you need to really dig deep to keep on going. And when you have committed to something in the correct way, you have that ability to persevere no matter how hard it may get. You don't give up. Because it's really easy to also give up, and then you've let go of the cycle, and then that same cycle comes around. You haven't brought it to its natural completion, so you haven't learned the lessons that were there to be learned if you just stuck with it. And again, when you enter into something correctly, then you can truly persevere. You can truly work through it and not give up, not quit when it's correct.
Have the energy for it. And one of the things that's really key here is to make sure that you have a response to some asking from life. So it might be a person, it might be a situation, but there is something that is asking you for your energy rather than you trying to make something happen, just like Karen was sharing.
Yep, exactly. And that is, if you are a builder, that is one of the keys to your success. You are not designed to go out and make it happen. And a lot of people panic going, well, if I'm not designed to make it happen, what do I do? Because that's how we've been conditioned. That's what we've been taught. And there's truly a magic in being able to actively wait, surrender to the entire process. And again, when you allow yourself, that waiting, if you will, for something to come towards you, to something come to you, whether it be, a person, whether it be an email, whether it be a sign, whether it be whatever it happens to be, whatever you're responding to, that's where the magic happens. And that's where you can most authentically determine, do you have the energy for this or not? Is there anyone on Facebook or actually in our BG5 Live who would like to share either their experience or any ahas or anything that you see in this trait 29 of perseverance?
So right now we don't have anything but love that from Cody Smith. Thanks, Cody, for joining us.
Beautiful.
I had written in there that it's all about energy management, which, kind of following what you were talking about earlier, Karen, it's that, especially as builder types, we need to manage our energy. Well, every type needs to manage their energy, but how they're going to do that is slightly different. And it really is, we have all of this energy to contribute as builders. How are we going to say yes to the correct things? And and really contribute that energy in a clean, elevated way so that we can make it through.
Yeah, exactly. I see a hand raised.
Yeah, Brad would like to say something.
Yes, Brad. Hey, Brad, welcome.
Hi, nice to be here. So I listened to this with interest, and I heard, I think it was Chris said that you know, we have to do the yes and the no, and particularly women go to yes too quickly. One of my experiences is, and we actually use this in workshops, where we will say to somebody, I'm going to the Bahamas for 3 or 4 days. Would you like to come with me? The immediate response is no. And so we go around the room and we ask several people, and the answer is always no. And what we're trying to get to is that that's not a response, that's a reaction. And what we're trying to get people to do is to learn to respond, and rather than just bail right into that yes or no automatically based on experience, is we're trying to get them to go to a place of asking questions such as, well, what do you have in mind? Because we typically go to, I'm going to the Bahamas for the weekend or 3 days or a week, and would you like to come with me? The answer is no. But when somebody says, well, what do you have in mind? You can use a number of scenarios. You can say, well, I just won the lotto and I bought a place in the Bahamas and I want to go down, but I don't know anybody. I'm looking for companionship. You can have your own room, no sex involved. The list goes on. Or I just sold my business, and the list goes on. The point being that we jump to yes or no as a reaction versus learning to respond with the odd question that might clarify what we're saying yes or no to.
I'm a yes to the Bahamas, Brad, and I don't care how it shows up. And then after all that,
I will absolutely keep that
yes.
in mind.
And then, but I love your point, which is that we are often in our minds, we've already made a decision. We aren't really truly responding.
No, exactly right. We come from, the bulk of us on the planet learn to come from reaction rather than taking the time to respond.
Yeah. Yeah, and oftentimes it takes, it takes practice. It takes some, especially if you're brand new to BG5, if you're brand new to learning about human design, sometimes that whole response piece, takes time to really understand and to really feel how that mechanism works. Yeah, thank you so much, Brad.
We have another hand raised.
Yes.
So Ellen, we'd love to hear you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Welcome.
hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I'm glad. It's the first time I made it finally, because I've been watching you on the replays. I enjoyed it already. Yeah, I'm not sure because I didn't get the start of the.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Ellen, that was me.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure if this is related to this, but yesterday I had to my son's phone. There was something with the battery, and it had to be sent back to the shop because it was in warranty. So it seemed pretty straightforward. I had to sort of get the phone, get all the stuff off the phone and all whatever, and so that it could be sent away. And I think it has taken me hours, like 2 hours before dinner, and then already 2 hours after dinner. I don't know. I was thinking half a day because everything sort of went wrong. I couldn't get the backup made, and then when I finally got after hours the backup made, I had to print out something to send it away, and that the printer wasn't working, and then the printer wasn't working, and then I didn't get a Wi-Fi. I don't know, everything. And I was thinking, I persevere. I got it done, and I was just thinking, oh, because it's part of me. I understand. I recognize this with me anyway. That I will, when I hook myself into something, I will finish it. But now I'm thinking maybe I had this extra jolt of energy from this trait that is because it's not in my design, I don't think, perseverance. But yeah, maybe it was that was the thing that kept me going, so that I actually I persevered till the end.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's that's what's going on in the background right now. So even if you don't have this particular trait, you may find that during this particular time, you may have a different level, just like Ellen was sharing with us, you may have this different level of perseverance, over this time period, where, all of a sudden it's activated. So again, you have that ability to stick with it till the end. So yeah, great example, Ellen. Thank you for sharing that.
That is such a great example, Ellen, because now as you were saying that, it makes so much sense. Yesterday and this morning, I'm like, all right, let's go. Like a boss, I'm getting stuff done. And I'm just things that I would normally go, yeah, I'll take care of it later. I'm like, no, just checking them off, getting up at 6 a.m., doing stuff. And so that's such a great way to see how we are impacted by the transits moving through in our design on a day-to-day basis. That's great.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Well, let's take a look at specifically today, we're going to focus in on one of the particular aspects here. So let's take a look at quality 4. And quality 4 is about directness. So this is about facing things head on or not. And remember, when we're taking a look at the 4th quality, it's about influence. It's about being an influencer. And so this is the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So it is that directness. The elevation of it is the wisdom to use the simplest and the most direct approach to solve difficulties. And it's the power to commit oneself to the simplest and most direct process. So instead of going all the way around these different things, what the straightest way, the most direct route. Now, the challenge is simplicity and directness all too often seems as inharmonic and aesthetically crude. The power of directness that often offends others, right? So sometimes instead of, it's almost like being very blunt and very direct as opposed to, flowering it up and making it look pretty and, and kind of walking and saying things around it, just get to the point. And sometimes that can be offensive to people. But this is again, and that can be the challenge of it. But you can see, as we've mentioned before in our other BG5 sessions, both sides are needed. Just like, again, whenever we say yes, the opposite is no. Wherever we have directness, there can be the possibility of directness where it can be, offensive as well. Yes, Chris.
Oh, no, I wasn't going to say
I just saw you unmute yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah. Anything, Natalie or Lavina, you would like to add?
This quality of the 4 that we're going through today, you might notice that there's perhaps more openness to being able to externalize the commitment, maybe verbalize the commitment or share the commitment with other people. So that's something else to watch out for. You might also feel friendly, like letting other people in on the experience too. So wanting to share the journey with them. That might be another thing to watch out for, and watch out for that directness because it can offend other people. Just get straight to the point. Give me all of that, directness. Don't give me all of the other fluff and details. Just give me the point. Yeah.
Cut the crap.
There you go.
Yeah, it was interesting. Natalie and I were meeting right before this meeting, and I'm just kind of lost in my own little creative, what I was working on, and then this is what I love about Natalie. Natalie keeps me on track. So it's like, what about this? What about this? What about this? In a very direct way. And I'm like, I don't know. Good question. I'm lost in my little creative muse right now.
Gosh, that's so funny. And I was thinking about, before we came on here too, my kids are like, I'm hungry, make me some lunch or help me get some lunch. And I was like, you do this, you there, you. It was just very like, come on, let's, I don't want to talk about it. Let's just do it. I have things to do. My kids are like, okay, there goes mom. So,
The simplest and most direct process.
exactly. Let's get her done.
Exactly. So this is something to look out for today, and kind of just notice for today. Notice how how you experience, how much are you being more direct? Are you feeling more directness from others as well? I always find it curious, both looking in my personal life and also kind of taking a look at what's happening in the world in general, in the news, and starting to see how these different pieces show up. So something to experience for today. So what I wanted to do next, Lavina does have trait 29. She doesn't have it in the 4 of directness, but she does have it in the 3. So it's kind of interesting if we take a look again at sort of the progression of the 3, quality 3 moving into quality 4. If we take a look at quality 3, this is about evaluation. So it's an evaluation before you move forward with a directness, right? So it's this pausing before you go, okay, yes, I'm committing, and there's a direct way forward. So this quality 3 is about evaluation. So this is properly assessed in action. And this is the power to wait. So despite the urge and the cost of inaction, the knowledge that it is sometimes better to fight another day. And so that's what yesterday was about. And again, it's interesting to see sort of the progression of this waiting and then making a commitment, right? And then going the most direct route, so we can see that process as well. Whether we take a look at any of the decision-making strategies that we have, there's always this element of waiting before proceeding. So Lavina, I would love for you to share a little bit about your experience in having trait 29, and it's a very important trait for you because it is part of your life work, and it is part of your conscious grounding and balance. So it's really what grounds you in fulfilling your life work as well. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about your experience and your perception of having this particular trait in your career design.
Sure, and to make it a little bit more personal and explicit, we can see that if you take it down and look at where it is in the energy resource like we've talked about, that this is an undefined function. So anytime you find part of your life work in an undefined function, it's an inconsistent process, and it really is dependent on other people. So before human design 7 years ago, I would constantly jump right into things and say yes, because there's all this pressure to say yes. Somebody would say, hey, I want to do this with you. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Yay, I want to do this, and let's do this. And can I mess up your life? Can I really, take all your money? And oh, sure, yeah, that'd be great. I was really messed up before design. And thank God that this line is actually in this quality for me, because it helps now that I know not to say yes and jump to something right away. It actually helps me evaluate whether or not this is the right thing to say yes to. So it's gotten a lot easier over the years to not have that knee-jerk reaction like Brad was talking about, and instead to hold back and to evaluate and, not get too lost in the imagination of the expectation. Oh, if I say yes, then I'm going to be like this and everybody's going to see what a great person I am. The mind is trying to go into all of these reasons why I should say yes, and instead just wait, back off, sleep on it, feel it out, make sure that it's really the right person or situation or team to say yes to. And one of the neat things about having anything in a 3, like we have here at Quality 3, is that there's this experience of being able to get into something and get back out of it again. And when you get back out of something, you get a little bit more perspective and distance from being up so close into something. And it helps you know more about what it is it really takes to make something succeed, to achieve that determination to stick through it. So it's like backing off. Like when you're writing a really good blog post or piece of something, article, whatever it is that you're really passionate about, if you take a step back and you have some time to evaluate, you can get back into it and be able to persevere. So it's not like, for me anyway, it's not like this determination and I gotta stick to it, I gotta keep going no matter what. I have to pause, come back out, go back in, and in the out and in, we get this perspective on something that is more of a totality rather than getting lost in all the little details. Get big picture view, come back in. So that's how I do a lot of my work. It's like this touch and go, get in it, work with it, come back out again. That's how it works for me anyway.
Yeah. And that's the bonds made and broken, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the deep connection to it,
Mm-hmm.
and then stepping away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And allowing that process to happen. You also have emotional intelligence as part of your decision-making strategy. So it really is important, because remember, with our decision-making strategy, it's going to give us not only the right decision, but also the right timing as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think timing is so important. The timing to know when to take action, the timing to know when, despite the urge and cost of inaction, the knowledge that sometimes it's better to fight another day.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't burn yourself out, right? So that you don't, that you don't, take off in some direction that, then you have to really backpedal from.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's a beautiful, beautiful example. Thank you for sharing that, Lavina.
Pleasure.
Yeah. Any questions that anyone may have for Lavina, or anything that anyone would like to share who may also have trait 29 or an experience with someone or an aspect of the 29?
We have Ellen's hand raised again. So I'll put Ellen, you can talk now.
Yeah, a question indeed for Lavina, because I know that you also have the trait 42, because that's the one I also have. And I was just wondering how, because that's when I strongly recognize in myself, which is, to finish things. And it has a bit of the same aspect for me, like finishing things, persevering. So I was just wondering if you could sort of maybe elaborate on if you can sense the difference in these two traits, because you have both of them.
It's really difficult to isolate any one trait, particularly, this all gets lit up whenever I get activated by either a transit or a person. And right now the transit is making it so that everybody is more ambitious and wanting to start new things. And so for us being advisors, because this is an undefined function, it's really, 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 really important that we only say yes to things that we personally have a recognition of someone else inviting, having a recognition of us first, and then we knowing that we have this limited finite energy resource, only channeling our endeavors into those things that we absolutely discern are exactly right for us in our design. So that's my biggest recommendation with either of these traits. The difference being, like we're talking about with Chris's design, she has the entire format, which is that 5342. And so for her, her responses are going to generate the energy for her to commit to that cycle of experience. And for me, having those two pieces, it's about being available or not, dependent on the recognition, invitation, and emotional clarity. And for you, we know that with that 42 being also in an undefined function, and I know that your design is that of a mental advisor, we need to have you speak your truth, what you think, over time with multiple different people to be able to get that recognition for yourself about whether or not you have the energy to contribute guidance to end a cycle of experience. And that's what happens, the difference between someone who is undefined like you and I, and someone like Chris is she's going to get that work done, just like she was getting that energy out this morning with her kids, like, okay, all this stuff is happening now, I have this energy. With us, it's not about us doing it personally, it's about advising and guiding the process. So the difference with the 29 is it's committing to the discovery of the experience, and with the 42 it's more about the cycles of development and having growth as part of that process of response or guidance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's good. That's good, because you can sense them being different, but you know, it's also hard to grasp it. It's like you say, it's hard to
They're
define.
deeply related to each other too.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
connected.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful question. Thank you. Yeah, and you know, this also ends up being your part of your profit potential as well, if it is if it's a trait in an undefined function. So this is actually in September we have 2 profit potential workshops that are starting. We have one which is the energy resource, which we're talking about here, and then we also have Chris, who's going to be sharing and teaching the communication and action as well. So again, if you have it undefined, it is part of your profit potential. And so it really is this opportunity, especially if, you know, if you're an advisor, if you're an evaluator, if you're an innovator, being able to, you know, guide the energy of others and knowing, you know, knowing when enough is enough. Yeah, beautiful.
There's
Now,
another piece that we have on the next slide that we wanted to share with everybody. We don't know Angela Lee Duckworth's design, but as far as perseverance, she has this TED Talk you can see there. It's called Grit, the power of passion and perseverance. And that's what we're talking about today, is that perseverance. So if you don't know her, she's a renowned psychologist. She's studied students, teachers, the military, corporate leaders, and anyone else that came into her study to determine what qualities predict successful leaders. So she researched a ton of students and professionals to see what attributes will help them succeed. And grit is what she describes as the power of passion and perseverance. That was at the top of the list. So this passion, perseverance, a growth mindset, you can hear the keynotes of that 42 coming in, is what I personally resonate to, and that has led to a lot of my success as well. So what Angela explains in this is that those that succeed possess a growth mindset, and they also look to the long term. We know that this particular trait, 29, is about the experiential road, and so it's more about being able to process over time that growth and development into the commitment of the experience in order to succeed. So each failure that we have is a stepping stool to the next step, and that success is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's a long-term thing. It's not a one and done thing. So I really liked that TED Talk, and I wanted to share it with you guys, inspired by the concept we're discussing today.
Yeah, it fits right in. It fits
Yay.
right in. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, any last comments, questions, either from Facebook or our BG5 Live?
I'm not seeing the Facebook live stream anymore. It says something went wrong, but earlier Rob had said, here, Karen, it takes practice whenever you said that it takes some practice.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, I think, really, again, taking a look at these next few days, taking a look at where you're committing, taking a look at where you're saying yes, also taking a look at where you're saying no, and where do you have the energy to complete something or not, and particularly today, where is that directness, and paying attention to that directness. So again, if you're new, if you don't know about what your career design is all about and you're curious, you can visit our website at bg5businessinstitute.com, and you can get a free report. We also have our classes coming up in September. So we have a foundation course, and both Natalie and Lavina, both of them are teaching two different foundation courses at two different dates and times. So you can attend the first class free, get a sense of what we do and how we teach and what the BG5 Foundation course is all about. Natalie is also, if you have some background in human design, or you've taken the foundation course already, she's also going to be teaching the BG5 Career and Business Certification course. So once again, you can check out the first class for free and kind of get a sense of what we do and check that out. Also, as I mentioned before, we have the Profit Potential Workshop. So I will be teaching the energy resource Profit Potential Workshop coming up in September, and Chris is going to start at the beginning with communication and action. So again, with Chris's class, if you want to check it out, if you're just curious, if you want to find out what it's all about, you can also attend the first class free. All right, so let's wrap up our conversation on perseverance. So last words, our panelists, last words that you would like to leave people with taking a look at and focusing on commitment, saying yes, and perseverance, or say no. Let's start with Natalie.
Well, I love the quality of today. It's kind of in my my Dutch roots, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, cut the crap I actually, that's what I want to share for today. Cut the crap.
Direct and to the point.
Yes, from A to B in a straight line.
Perfect. Perfect. And how about for you, Chris?
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where because I don't have the 29, but it's under quite a bit of pressure, having the full format strength and the 46 opposite the 29, and I am a builder type. So it's really interesting to me to see this, and I can't wait to see when it'll come around again next month, and so that I can sort of plan my days around, like, here's when I'm really going to get a lot of stuff done, and and watch it. So it's like, ride that energy when it happens, but definitely use your decision-making strategy to really know what to say yes to and commit your energy to.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Thank you, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And how about for you, Lavina?
I just echo that reminder from Chris to follow your decision-making strategy, particularly if you have this trait in your design. It's really, really imperative that you honor your own personal energy integrity and that you're committed to yourself first, because this trait can say yes to life and it can also say no to life. So if you're saying yes to the wrong things and you're really getting downtrodden and depressed and life is a struggle and it's hard and it's not easy, you might draw yourself into this state of, oh, life, why is it so hard and challenging? I don't want to go on. I used to be in that space of like, why is it so hard? And one of the reasons it's so hard is because we're trying to be everything that we're not. So make sure that you follow your decision-making strategy to be available to the right things at the right time and discover the sweetness of whatever it is life is here to be here for you. because that's what you're here for.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
You know, and just to tag on to what Lavina just said, you know, when you say yes to the right things, right? When you are following your decision-making strategy and then surrendering to the process, that's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
That's where things unfold that you couldn't have even thought of or imagined, right? That's when, you know, you have the perseverance, you know, to see it through to the end, and the magic of what you learn through the entire process that then, you know, you can share with others. You know, that you can then impact and make a difference for others in committing to things correctly, surrendering to that experience, you know, oftentimes on the other side, succeeding where others may, you know, where others may fail, and coming out on the other side, both, you know, enriched for yourself, but also being able to share that journey and that adventure with others. Yeah.
Nice.
Beautiful. All right. Well, really, really great discussion, and thank you for those of you in our BG5 Live room for asking the questions and contributing. So, so a huge shout out and thank you to Ellen and Brad for your contribution. And it sounds like we may have Facebook Live may have not. May have had an error there, so we will have the recording up and running here in the next day or so. So again, thank you for each and every one of you for being here. Again, this is it's really fun to have these discussions and to really take a look at each of these traits at a different level. And so I just want to really thank you and appreciate each of you for contributing and being a part of BG5 Live. So we will see you next week. And until then, bye for now. Bye, everyone.